Another good fight for Canizales, I thought, was the fight that he won over USBA champion Eddie Rangel, also of San Antonio. Won right here in San Antonio, one of his 16 title defenses. And a very good fight for him. In addition, as we mentioned, to that Ray Medell fight of the earlier fight that we mentioned.
Well, he's been in his share of wars. I mean, don't get me wrong, but he also knows the value of fighting this way when you have to.
Fight that you and I saw him fight, he overcame several problems, including a shoulder problem, beating Bones Adams, who fought with a broken jaw, we found out. From about the 7th round on, finally they stopped the fight in the 12th with Adams losing. But Canizales literally had to fight for his life that night in Evian, France.
That's right.
Quite a beautiful Lake Geneva.
Well, I really like the water.
It was nice.
Oh, yeah. I never drank so much water.
I think my wife and I were drinking that around Switzerland for the next 2 weeks to come. Canizales trying to win a title here, but the champion, who wears the red out of Puerto Rico, is not going to get up easy here tonight, if at all.
Vasquez is a patient fighter, as you can see. He's not getting rattled. He's having a little trouble slowing Canizales down. He hasn't really cut the ring off him yet, but you get the feeling that he's confident that he will eventually.
He's trying to change at the end of this 3rd round. Ramos separates him, and that's the end of 3. Road Extra, in association with the Cedric Christmas Sports Network, bringing you World Championship fighting from Freeman Arena here in San Antonio, Texas. It was interesting. In one of the undercards, we had the Ayala family working on, in addition to Mike Ayala and Sammy Ayala. Of course, Mr. Senior Ayala doing the job that he has done. There's a lot of boxers here, amateurs and pros in San Antonio for many, many years.
Oh, yeah, they are boxing in this town. They really are.
You're doing good, but you can do more. Don't be so cautious.
Surprised to hear that from Jesse Reed.
You don't want to be so cautious with yourself. Get a little busier with your hands and get him into a fight. This guy's an old man. Make him work. I don't mean run into something, but get him working.
Well, Jesse Reed trying to throw a little bait out there. Let's see if the 29-year-old Orlando Canizales grabs it here as we head for the 4th round. Canizales, who was the reigning IBF bantamweight champion when he headed for the ring, now just a challenger for the champion Wilfredo Vasquez as they fight for the WBA junior featherweight title. Now, more activity from Canizales in the round. What do you think?
Well, you know, I was surprised to hear Jesse Reed give him that kind of advice, especially this early in the fight, because Vasquez is dangerous, and he can hit pretty hard. You know, I'm surprised that he was basically telling this fighter to take no chances.
Warning on holding behind the head by Vasquez.
Obviously, Jesse Reed's got less respect for Vasquez than you and I do right now.
By the way, he mentioned at 33 he's an old man.
Well, it's all relative.
Wait a minute. Time out.
It depends on what you do.
Let's get a second opinion. Canizales, who, by the way, his older brother Gabby, not working in the corner, but he is within earshot of what's going on in that corner as he leans in with a great deal of interest.
Boy, he was a tremendous puncher.
Yeah.
That was the one thing he could do was to bang.
And you talk about the heart of a bulldog. Both of them had it, and still do for Canizales here in Orlando.
Very different fighter from his brother, Gabby Canizales was.
And I think in some respects that's great for Orlando. He really kind of found his own shtick. Where it wasn't the fact, well, I try to emulate my brother. He never tried to do that.
And smart, because you know what? He's really not built for it. That was a good right hand.
Indeed. Canizales staying up on those toes, bobbing and weaving, throwing the combination. Missed with both of those, but just lets the champion know they're still there after he landed early on. By the way, Mr. Scorekeeper, what have you got for you with the first 3 rounds here?
I've got 2 for Canizales, 1 for Vasquez. I gave Vasquez the first round. I thought Canizales outboxing the next 2. I think he's outboxing him right now.
He is. The right hand again by Canizales as Vasquez tried to work his way in with a couple of jabs, and Canizales hit him with the right hand.
I'm kind of surprised at Vasquez. He's very patient, but he can't win a tactical war with this man, I don't think. I think that Canizales is a better all-around fighter. I think that Vasquez should really be trying to rough him up a little bit. Ooh, that was a pretty good counter right.
Was indeed. Vasquez again just waiting for Canizales to come in and trying to do what he can. Neither fighter has been on the ropes so far here in the First 3.5 rounds. As you see, we near the 32nd mark, or under that now in round 4. But the crowd getting a little bit antsy, wanting a little something to happen after that great opening fight we had on our card tonight of the World Championship, going from Kevin Kelly to a young man out of Mexico by the name of Gonzalez. Mark it down. He will be around for a while.
After 100 years of fabulous football, your dreams have been answered. Every game, every club, every week. With more news.
I wonder what goes through George Foreman's mind when he hears Jesse Reed saying, this guy's an old man.
That's right.
Excuse me?
He just smiles and looks at his bank book again.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting comments. If we have a little time inside the fight, I might get your comments on the expected release later on this spring of one Mike Tyson and what might happen down the road with George Foreman and others.
Boy, oh boy, that's a fight that's just too big not to happen. You know it's going to happen.
Those are the big guys. Right now, the junior featherweights are sharing the spotlight around the world. And Vasquez now apparently has kind of picked up the tempo himself here, Wally.
Right. Now we see a little bit more pressure from Vasquez. You can see there that he's a lot slower than Canizales, but he's throwing more to the body now, which is what he needs to do to take some of the legs out from Orlando.
You know, Orlando starts making that charge ahead, throws a good left jab, but then he's just kind of polarized with the left jab of Vasquez.
Right, and now he's starting to get into some exchanges here, which I'm not sure is the best thing for Orlando's health. Is that lead right?
You know, if you watch Vasquez's eyes, the one thing he's watching is the belt buckle. Having played a great deal of basketball in my early years, one of my coaches...
Before you were an old man.
Before we were both old men, I want to add. One of my great coaches that I certainly enjoyed in my life early on was, he said, just watch the guy's belt buckle, because that goes, he goes. I mean, he can't go without his belt buckle, and that's exactly what Vasquez is doing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know some fighters look into the eyes, some look at the shoulders.
Well, look at his eyes. He kind of cuts down right almost to the waistline. And
yeah. Maybe he's able to pick up some muscular movement in there that tells him when Canizales is going to throw.
Now that is being very, so we say, specialized.
I would say so.
Activity of Canizales encouraged by Reed. What do you think here in round 5, Wally?
Well, I just think that this is a more dangerous fight for Canizales. I noticed that he's getting hit more, and he's getting hit to the body. And I don't know. I liked him better when he was boxing, although the fight wasn't as interesting.
Same banging in there was a head. Canizales, by the way, had a no contest in his career. Derek Whiteboy out of South Africa in June of 1993. They were anticipating that to be a great fight, and Whiteboy out of South Africa thought he had a pretty good chance of winning. It was stopped in the third. A accidental headbutt opened up a gash over the left eye, and Canizales was not able to continue, and thus not finishing the third round. It was called a no contest, and you hear the boos coming down from this crowd. It wants a little bit more action here.
I think they've been spoiled a little bit.
That first fight was indeed a dandy.
Well, this is not an exciting fight, but it's an interesting fight, and especially if you understand the tactics that these two guys are trying to use on one another. I mean, Canizales may be walking a tightrope by working this close to Vasquez.
Trying to double left jab and then follow with a right cross. Straight right hand is scored occasionally. Vasquez at 33 still has a little quickness on those feet. And we know he still possesses a pretty good punch as they near the end of round 5.
Estamos bien, ¿sí?
Not a lot of concern going on in that corner right now, Wally.
The fighter looks very calm. He doesn't really seem to be winded or anything. They're working under his eyes a little bit. Not speaking Spanish, I can't tell you what these people are saying.
On the other side, Orlando Canizales.
Yes.
They are working on that little nick now on the outside of the right eye.
Well, I think that nick has widened somewhat because it looked like it was hurting Canizales a little bit when they stuck the Q-tip in there.
We first see that in the 4th or 5th round, Wally.
Get your momentum.
I believe we saw it at the beginning of the 4th round.
This is round number 6 of a scheduled 12-round title fight. 8,000 plus looking on here tonight in San Antonio at Freeman Coliseum on the Cedric Kushner Sports Network for the WBA Junior Featherweight Championship. The champion in the red, Vasquez, battles the challenger, a former champion and a bantamweight, moving up in weight, Orlando Canizales. Canizales being encouraged by his corner to be more active. Very calm, very cool, and holding on to his picking of the punches to throw by Vasquez so far through the first 5 rounds.
You see now that Canizales is back on his toes, is trying to keep his distance. I don't think that was a very good round for him in the 5th round. I think he got hit more than either he or Jesse Reed would have liked. Oh, a good right.
Good right indeed. Vasquez just ducked right over Bravo. That's one thing that's great to see. Certainly everybody likes to see the big heavyweights knock each other around, but you see the good infighting, the quickness of the punches of the lighter weights. And certainly these two guys have good hand speed.
And the clean, crisp punching that a lot of times you don't see with heavyweights. You do sometimes, but a lot of times you see a lot of clubbing shots. You don't see too many shots like that right uppercut that Canizales just landed.
Move right on up through, of course, the lightweights.